Hi guys, today we're going to be reviewing the squeeze momentum indicator by Lazybear. It's one of the, in fact, it's the highest trending public free indicator on TradingView in history. So let's take a look at it. Is it worth using? Is it particularly remarkable? Well, let's get into it. So obviously this is a momentum indicator. When we get the green wave, good time to be buying. When it turns dark green, it's a good time to be taking profits on those long positions. And the opposite goes for shorts. When you have it turning red, it's a good time to be selling. And when it turns dark red, it's like, hey, we might be seeing a reversal. So it's not too dissimilar from the MACD in that regard. The momentum techniques used here to derive momentum seem pretty straightforward. Doesn't mean it's bad, but it's quite a vanilla way of identifying momentum, which is the rate of change in the buying or selling. You could see it's quite early with identifying these reversals. It's pretty good as a momentum indicator. Look, here we start to turn green. If we compare it to something like the MACD, let's take a look at one of the most commonly used momentum indicators of all time. And we see, does it particularly have an edge? Well, the MACD actually turns green earlier, and the MACD turns red earlier, and it holds that, and it doesn't fall to this noise, which can be, that's looking good for the MACD. Again, the MACD kind of turns green 1 bar earlier, it turns red 1 bar earlier, and it's just consistently a bit of an earlier identifier. Now, that's kind of an unfair comparison because sometimes an indicator might be using a higher length. So it might be unfair of me to say, hey, the MACD is responding earlier because maybe the settings are just longer. So if I just pull back some of these settings, generally reducing a length setting can make an indicator more responsive. So let's bring that down to 14 and let's have a look. Well, that instantly improved it and it's made it, look, I mean, the MACD is still selling earlier. It's consistently selling earlier. I'm sure there's a balance point, but you guys can see there's no real advantage in the momentum detection here. Would I say it has a particular edge over the MACD's momentum identification? No, I wouldn't. And I'm sure you guys would agree too. Where it does have an interesting utility are these little grey X's that it plots here. Let me go to a prime example. Let's have a look at, I'll remove the MACD here. So this has squeeze in the name, and it identifies squeezes, and it uses Bollinger Bands in this. And you can see we have the grey X's here. They're very faint, but they're plotted, meaning the market is starting to enter a range. And that is definitely a useful tool. That is very useful because we can see, hey, the market's starting to range, so maybe we should either be taking profits or we should be looking for another position, because what we know about the markets are when the price squeezes, it generally means the market's compressing and we're going to see an explosion of some sort. We can see here, there was a squeeze telling us, hey, maybe you don't want to be trading here. A lot of chop indeed. And we start to get the blue X's, which are, confirming, hey, we really are getting a nasty squeeze here. Here's a great example on the chart. We get these blue X's, suggesting, hey, there's a major squeeze, and there's a major squeeze. We're basically flatlined here. And because we're seeing these major squeezes, we expect a sharp move. And that sharp move happened to be to the downside. So if we had other technical analysis going on, pointing to an idea of where we might think it might break out, well, this is the warning. This is like, hey, take a look at this. Would I say, again, does this have any advantage over Bollinger Band width? Oh, it looks like TradingView have updated this. Well, not really. Because look, the Bollinger Band width hits the lowest value, basically 3 over here. And this is like, hey, there's a move going to happen because the Bollinger Bands are so compressed. This oscillator is measuring the width of the Bollinger Band. So when the width of the Bollinger Bands becomes super low, then we expect a sharp move. So that's acting as a great indication. Here, the Bollinger Band widths are basically at 0. Again, a great indication we're going to see a strong move. Here, again, basically 0, we see a sharp move. So would I say this is a particularly remarkable squeeze indicator? No. And maybe it's me being a bit harsh. Maybe you guys find utility out of it. And, it sucks to hate on things. And I think it does have its utility. It's definitely nice hybridizing the idea of squeezes and momentums. But as shown, the MACD and momentum, the MACD, sorry, and the Bollinger Band width prove equally effective, and if not more effective. So look, it has its utility. Would I rate it a 10 out of 10? No, I'd probably give this indicator a 5 out of 10. It does its job. It does what it says on the tin. Is it remarkable at anything? No, not really. So hopefully this video helped. And yeah, let me know any indicators you'd like me to go over next.